Hi guys, the creepypasta central here, and as you see in this picture here, this is actually a couple creepypastas, and I'm gonna actually read these creepypastas, certain of them. But today, since it's my first video, I'm gonna show you my favorite creepypasta, which is Jeff the Killer. So, all right, time to turn off the lights and enjoy the story. Expert from a local newspaper. Anonymous, unknown. Killer still at large. After weeks of unexplained murders, the ominous unknown killer is still on the rise. After a little evidence has been found, a young boy states that he survived one of the killer's attacks and bravely tells his story. I had a bad dream. I woke up in the middle of the night, the boy says. I saw for some reason that the window was open, even though I remember it was being closed before I went to bed. I got up and shut it once more. Afterwards, I simply crawled under my covers and tried to go back to sleep. That's when I had a strange feeling, like someone was watching me. I looked up and nearly jumped out of my bed. There, it's in the little rays of light illuminating between my curtains, were a pair of two eyes. These weren't regular eyes; they were black, anomalous eyes, and are boarded in a black and just out terrified me. That's when I saw his mouth, a long, hideous smile that made every hair on my body stand up. The figure stood there watching me. Finally, after what seemed like forever, he said it, a simple phrase, but said in the only way a madman could speak. He said, "Go to sleep." I let out a scream. That's what sent him after me. He pulled back up a knife, aiming at my heart. He jumped on the top of my bed. I fought back. I kicked. I punched. I rolled around, trying to knock him off me. That's when my dad busted in. The man threw the knife. It went into my dad's shoulder. The man probably would have finished him off if one of the neighbors hadn't alerted the police. They drove into the parking lot and he ran towards the door. The man turned around, ran down the hallway. I heard a smash, like glass breaking, as soon as I came out of the room. I saw the window that pointed towards my back of my house was broken. I looked out to see him vanish into the distance. I can tell you one thing. I will never forget that face. Those cold, evil eyes, and the psychopathic smile. They will never leave my head. Police still on the look for this man. If you see anyone that fits the description in this story, please contact your local police department. Jeff and his family just moved into a new neighborhood. His dad had gotten a promotion at work, and they thought it would be best to live in one of those fancy neighborhoods. Jeff and his brother Lou couldn't complain though. A new, better house, what was not to love? As they were getting unpacked, one of the neighbors came by. "Hello," she said. I'm Barbara. I live right across the street from you. Well, I just wanted to introduce you to myself and introduce you to my son." She turns around and calls over her son, "Billy!" These are our new neighbors. Billy said hi and then ran back into his yard. "Well," said Jeff's mom, "I'm Margaret, and this is my husband Peter and my two sons Jeff and Lou." They each introduced themselves, and then Barbara invited him to our son's birthday party. Jeff and his brother were about to object when their mother said that they would love to. When Jeff and his family were unpacking, Jeff went up to his mom. "Mom, why did you invite us to some kid's party? You haven't noticed I'm not some dumb kid?" "Jeff, we just moved here. We should show that we want to spend time with our neighbors. Now, you're going to that party, and that's final," Jeff's mother said. Jeff started to talk, but stopped himself, knowing that he couldn't do anything. Whatever his mom said, it was final. He walked up to his room and plopped down on his bed. He sat there looking at the ceiling, and when suddenly he got a weird feeling. Not so much as pain, but a weird feeling. He dismissed it as some of the random feelings. He heard his mother call him down to get his stuff, and then he walked down to get it. The next day, Jeff walked down the stairs to get some breakfast and got ready for school. As he sat there eating breakfast, he once again got that feeling. This time it was stronger. It gave him a slight tug and pain, but he once again dismissed it. As he and Lou finished breakfast, they walked down to the bus stop. They sat there waiting for the bus, and then all of a sudden, some kid on the skateboard jumped over us, only inches above their laps. They both jumped in surprise. Hey, what the hell? The kid landed it and turned back to him, kicked up a skateboard, and caught it up in his hands. The kid seemed to be about 12, 1 year younger than Jeff. He wears an Aeropostale shirt and ripped blue jeans. Well, 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 it looks like we got some fresh new meat. Suddenly, two other kids appeared. One was super skinny, and the other was really huge. Well, since you're new here, I'd like to introduce ourselves. Over there is Keith. Jeff and Lou looked over to the skinny kid. He had a dopey face that you would expect to a sidekick to have. And he's Troy. They looked over to the fat kid talking about tub of lard. This kid looks like he hadn't exercised since he was crawling. And the first kid said, I'm Randy. Now, for all the kids in this neighborhood, there's a small price for a bus fee if you catch my draft. Lou stood up, ready to punch the lights out of the kid's eyes, when one of his friends pulled a knife on him. Tss, tss, tss. I hoped you would be more cooperative, but it seems we must do the hard way. The kid walked up to Lou and took his wallet out of his pocket. Jeff got that feeling again. Now it was truly strong, a burning substance. He stood up, but Lou gestured him to sit down. Jeff ignored him and walked down up to the kid. Listen here, you little punk. Give back my bro's wallet or else. Randy puts the wallet in his pocket and pulls out his knife. Oh, and what will you do? Just as he finished his sentence, Jeff pops him in the nose. As Randy reaches for his face, Jeff grabs the kid's wrist and broke it. Randy screamed, and Jeff grabbed the knife from his hand. Troy and Keith rushed over to Jeff, but Jeff was too quick. He threw Randy onto the ground. Keith lashed out at him, but Jeff ducked and stabbed him in the arm. Keith dropped the knife and fell to the ground, screaming. Troy, he rushed to him, but Jeff didn't even need the knife. He punched Troy straight in the stomach, and Troy went down. As he fell, he puked all over Lou, couldn't do nothing but look in amazement at Jeff. Jeff, how did you... That's all he said. There was a bus. He saw the bus coming and knew that he would be blamed for the whole thing. So they started running as fast as they could. As they ran, they looked back and saw the bus driver rush over to Randy and the others. As Jeff and Lou made it to school, they didn't dare tell what happened. All they did was just sit and listen. Lou just thought of that his brother beating up a few kids, and Jeff knew it was more. It was something scary. As he got that feeling and he felt it more powerful, it was the urge to just hurt somebody. He didn't like how it sounded, but he couldn't help feeling happy. He felt that strange feeling go away and stayed away for the entire day of school. Even as he walked home, due to the whole thing near the bus stop, and how probably he wouldn't be taking the bus anymore. He felt happy. When he got home, his parents asked him how his day was, and he said in somewhat an ominous voice, "It was a wonderful day." Next morning, he heard a knock at his front door. He walked down to find two police officers at the door, his mother looking back at him in an angry look. Jeff, these two officers told me that you attacked three kids, that it wasn't regular fighting, and they were stabbed. Stabbed, son. Jeff glazed and fell to the floor, showing his mother that it was true. Mom, they were the ones who pulled the knives on me and Lou. Son, said one of the cops, we found three kids, two stabbed and one having a bruise on his stomach. And we have a witness proving that you fled the scene. Now, what does that tell us? Jeff knew it was no use. He could Whoops. He knew it was no use. He could say him and Lou had been attacked, but there was no proof that it was not them who attacked first. They couldn't say that they weren't feeling because they weren't fleeing because the truth would be told that they were. So Jeff couldn't defend him or Lou. Son, call your brother down. Jeff couldn't do it since it was him who beat up all the kids. Sir, it was me. I was the one who beat up the kids. Lou tried to hold me back. He couldn't stop me. The cop looked at his partner and both nodded. Well, kid, looks like a year in juvie. Wait, says Lou. Looked up to see him holding a knife, and the officers pulled their guns and locked them on Lou. It was me. I beat up them little punks. I have the marks to prove it. He struggled to lift up his sleeves, revealing cuts and bruises, as if he was in a struggle. Son, just put the knife down, said one of the officers. Lou held up the knife and dropped it to the ground, and put it on his hands and walked he put his hands up and walked over to the cops. No, Lou, it was me. I did it. Jeff had tears run down his face. Poor bro, trying to take the blame for what he did. Well, take me away, boy. Take me away. The boys led Lou out to the patrol car. Lou, tell them it was me. Tell them. I was the one who beat up those kids. Jeff's mother put her hands on his shoulder. Jeff, please, you don't have to lie. We know it was Lou. You can't stop. Jeff watched helplessly as the cop speeds off and with Lou inside. A few minutes later, Jeff's dad pulled into the driveway, seeing Jeff's face and knowing something was wrong. Son, what is it? Jeff couldn't answer. His vocal cords were strained from crying. Instead, Jeff's mother walked his father into the walked inside to break bad news to him as Jeff wept in the driveway. After an hour or so, Jeff walked back into the house, seeing his parents. They were both shocked, sad, and disappointed. He couldn't look at them. He couldn't see how they thought Lou when it was his fault. He went to sleep, trying to get the whole thing out of his mind. 2 days went by. With no word from Lou at JDC, no kids to hang out with, nothing but sadness and guilt. And doubt until it was Saturday, when Jeff was woke by his mother with a happy, shiny face. Jeff, it's the day, she said as she opened the curtains and let light flew into his room. What's today? Asked Jeff as he stares awake. Why, it's Billy's party. Now he says he's now fully awake. Mom, you're joking, right? You don't expect me to go to some kid's party after... There was a long pause. Jeff, we both know what happened, and I think this party could be the thing that brightens up the past days. Now get dressed. Jeff's mother walked out of the room and downstairs to get herself ready. He fought himself to get up. He picked out a random shirt and a pair of jeans and walked downstairs. His mother and his father is all dressed up. His mother in a dress and his father in a suit. He thought why they would ever wear such fancy clothes to a kid's party. Son, is that all you're gonna wear? His mom said. Better than wearing too much, he said. His mother pushed down the feeling to yell at him and hit it with a smile. Now, Jeff, we may be overdressed, but this is how you go and want to make an impression, his father says. Jeff grunted and went back up to his room. I don't have any fancy clothes, he yells downstairs. Just pick out something, called his mother. He looked around in his closet and for what he would call fancy. He found a pair of black dress pants he wore for special occasions and an undershirt. He couldn't find a shirt to go with it though, so he looked around and found only a striped and patterned pants, none of which go with his dress pants. Patterned shirts, which none of them go with dress pants. Finally, he found a white hoodie to put on it. You're wearing that? They both said. His mother looked at her watch. Oh, no time to change. Let's go. Let's just go. His mother, she said, as he heard Jeff and his father out the door. They crossed the street to Barbara's and Billy's house. They knocked on the door, and what it appeared that Barbara, just like his parents, way overdressed. As they walked inside, all Jeff could see were adults, no kids. The kids are out in the yard, Jeff. How about you go and meet some of them? Said Barbara. Jeff walked outside to a yard full of kids. They were running around in a weird cowboy costumes and shooting each other with plastic guns. He might as well be standing in a Toys R Us. Suddenly a kid came up to him. "Hey, wanna play?" he said. "Oh no, kid, I'm way too old for this stuff." The kid looks at him with that weird puppy dog face. "Please?" said the kid. "Fine," said Jeff. He put on a hat and started to pretend to shoot at the kids. At first he thought it was total ridiculous, but then he started to have fun. It might not have been super cool, but it was the first time he'd done something that took his mind off a little. So he played with the kids for a while until he heard a noise, a weird rolling noise. Then it hit him. Randy, Troy, and Keith all jumped over the fence and with their skateboards. Jeff dropped the fake gun, and ripped off his hat. Randy looked at Jeff with a burning hatred. "Hello, Jeff, is it?" he said. We have some unfinished business." Jeff saw his bruised nose. "I think we're even. I beat the crap out of you, and you get my brother sent to JDC." Randy got an angry look on his face. No. I don't go for even. I go for winning. You may have kicked our asses that one day, but not today." As he said that, Jandy rushed at Jeff. They both fell to the ground. Randy punched Jeff in the nose, and Jeff grabbed him by the ears and headbutted him. Jeff pushed Randy off of him, and both rose to their feet. Kids were screaming, and parents were running out of the house. Troy and Keith pulled guns out of their pockets. "No one interrupts, or the guts will fly," they said. Randy pulled a knife on Jeff and stabbed it into his shoulder. Jeff screamed and fell to his knees. Randy started to kick him in the face. After 3 kicks, Jeff grabs the foot and twists it, causing Randy to fall to the ground. Jeff stood up and walked towards the door. Troy grabbed him. "Need some help?" He picks Jeff up by the back of his collar and throws him into the patio door. As Jeff tries to stand up, he gets kicked down to the ground. Randy repeatedly starts kicking Jeff until he starts to cough up blood. "Come on, Jeff, fight me." He picks Jeff up and throws him into the kitchen. Randy sees a bottle of vodka on the counter and smashes the glass over Jeff's head. "Fight!" He throws Jeff back into the living room. "Come on, Jeff, look at me." Jeff glances up, his face riddled with blood. "I was the one who got your brother sent to JDC, and now you're going to sit here and let him rot in there for a whole year? You should be ashamed." Jeff starts to get up. "Oh, finally you start to stand and fight." Jeff now on his feet, blood and vodka all over his face. Once again, he gets that strange feeling. Which is one he had felt in a while. "Finally, he's up," Randy says. As he runs at Jeff, when it happens, something inside Jeff snaps. He's psychotic. I forgot how to say that word. It's destroyed. All rational thinking is gone. All he can do is kill. He grabs Randy and piles him into the ground. He gets on top of him and punches him straight in the heart. That causes Randy's heart to stop. As Randy gasps for breath, Jeff hammers down on him, punch after punch, blood gushing from Randy's body until he takes one final breath and dies. Yeah. Everyone is looking at Jeff now. The parents, the crying kids, even Troy and Keith, although they were easily break from the graves and to point the guns at Jeff. Jeff sees the guns and trained on him ran for the stairs. As he runs, Troy and Keith let out fire on him, each shot missing. Jeff runs up the stairs. He hears Troy and Keith follow up behind. As they let out their final round of bullets, Jeff ducks into the bathroom. He grabs the towel rack and rips it off the wall. Troy and Keith face him, knives ready. Troy swings the knife at Jeff, who backs away and bangs the towel rack into Troy's face. Troy goes down hard, and now all that's left of Keith. He is more angled than Troy. He ducks, and when Jeff swings the towel, Jeff swings the towel rack. He drops the knife and grabs Jeff by the neck. He pushes him into the wall. A thing of bleach fell on top of him from the top shelf. It burnt both of them, and they both started to scream. Jeff wiped his eyes as best as he could. He pulled back the towel rack and swung it straight into Keith's head. As he lay there bleeding to death, he let out an ominous smile. "What's so funny?" Jeff asked. Keith pulled out a lighter and switched it on. "What's funny," he says, "is that you're covered in bleach and alcohol." Jeff's eye widened as Keith threw the lighter at him. As soon as the flames made contact with him, the flames ignited the alcohol in the vodka, while the alcohol burned him and the bleach bleached his skin. Jeff let out a terrible screech as he caught on fire. He tried to roll out the fire, but it was no use. The alcohol made him walk an inferno. He ran down the hall and fell down the stairs. Everybody started to scream as they saw Jeff and now the man on fire. Dropped to the ground, nearly dead. The last thing Jeff saw was his mom trying to pass and the other parents igniting the flame. That's when he passed out. When Jeff woke, he had a cast wrapped around his face. He couldn't see anything, but he felt the cast on his shoulder and stitches all over his body. He tried to stand up, but realized there was some tube in his arm. And when he tried to get up, it fell out, and the nurse rushed in. "I don't think you can get out of the bed yet," she said, as she put him back in the bed and re-entered the tube. Jeff sat there with no vision and no idea what his surroundings were. Finally, after hours, he heard his mother. "Honey, are you okay?" she asked. Jeff couldn't answer, though his face was covered and he was unable to speak. "Oh, honey, I have great news. After all the witnesses told the police that Randy confessed of trying to attack you, they decided to let Lou go." This finally made Jeff almost bolt up, stopping halfway, remembered the tube coming out of his arm. "He'll be out by tomorrow, and then you two be able to be together again." Jeff mother hugs Jeff and says her goodbyes. The next couple of weeks, those were Jeff was visited by his family. Then the day came where the bandages were to be removed. His family were all there to see it. What did he look like? As the doctors unwrapped the bandages from Jeff's face, everyone was on the edge of their seats, and they waited until the last bandage was removed. Holding the cover over his face almost removed, "Let's hope it's for the best," the doctor says. He quickly pulls the cloth, letting the rest of it fall from Jeff's face. Jeff's mother screamed at the sight of his face. Lou and Jeff's dad stare awestruck at his face. What happened?" Jeff said. He rushed out of the bed into the bathroom. He looked at the mirror and just saw that cause of the distress. His face. It's horrible. His lips were burnt into a deep shade of red. His face was turned into a pure white color. His hair sighed from brown to black. He slowly put his hand on his face. It had a sort of leathery feel to it now. He looked back at his family and back in the mirror. "Jeff," Lou said, "it's not that bad." "Not that bad?" "It's perfect," Jeff said. His family were equally surprised. Jeff starting to laugh uncontrollably. His parents noticed that his left eye and hand were twitching. Jeff, are you okay?" "Okay? I've never been more happy. Look at me. This face goes perfect with me." He couldn't stop laughing. He stroked his face, feeling it, looking at the mirror. "What caused this?" "Well, you may..." Wait, where am I? He stroked his face. "Well, you may recall that what happened when Jeff was fighting Randy. Something in his mind, his sanity snapped. Now he was left as a crazy killing machine. That is, his parents didn't know." "Doctor," Jeff's mom said, "is my son all right? In the head?" Oh yes, the behavior of is typical for patients that have been taking a very large amount of painkillers. And his behavior doesn't change in a few weeks. Bring him back here, and we'll give him a psychology test. Oh, thank you, doctor. Jeff's mother went over to Jeff. Sweetly, it's time to go. Jeff looks away from the mirror as his face is still formed into a crazy smile. "Okay, mommy." His mother took him by the shoulder and took him to get his clothes. "This is what came in," said the lady at the desk. Jeff's mom looked down to see the black dress pants and the white hoodie her son wore. Now they were clean from the blood and stitched together. Jeff's mother led him down into the room and made him put the clothes on. Then they left, not knowing that this was their final day of life. Later that night, Jeff's mother woke to a sound coming from the bathroom. It sounded as if someone was crying. She walked over to see what it was. When she looked into the bathroom, she saw a horrendous sight. Jeff had taken a knife, carved a smile into his cheeks. "Jeff, what are you doing?" his mother asked. Jeff looked over to his mother. "I couldn't keep smiling, Mommy. It hurt after a while. Now I can smile forever." Jeff noticed his eyes ringed with black. "Jeff, your eyes!" His eyes were seemingly never closing. "I couldn't see my face. I got tired of my eyes starting to close. I burned my eyelids so I can forever see myself, my new face." Jeff's mother slowly started to back away, seeing that her son's going insane. What's wrong, Mom? Aren't I beautiful?" "Yes, son," she said. "Yes, you are. Let let me go get Daddy so he can see your face." She ran to the room, shook Jeff's dad from his sleep. Honey, get the gun. She stepped as she saw Jeff in the doorway holding a knife. "Mom, you lied to me." That's the last thing they heard as Jeff rushed to him and then with the knife gutting both of them. His brother Rue woke up startled by some noise. He didn't hear anything else, so he just shut his eyes. He tried to go back to sleep as he was on the border of slumber. He got the strangest feeling that someone was watching him. He looked up before Jeff's hand covered him. He slowly raised the knife, ready to plunge into Lou. Lou trashed here, and they were trying to escape Jeff's grip. "Shh," Jeff said. "Just go to sleep."